Welcome back to 123 Kimchi. Autumn and winter always remind me of pumpkins. Pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin pies. I love everything pumpkin when the weather gets cold. But did you know there's also kimchi made with pumpkins? So today I'm making Hobak Kimchi or pumpkin kimchi. This is a kimchi traditionally enjoyed in central region of Korea. Provinces like Chungcheong-do and Hwanghae-do. They're known for flavors that are gentle, balanced, and comforting. And so is this kimchi. In this pumpkin kimchi, cabbage still plays an important role. Traditionally, this is made with pumpkin or muscat squash, but today I'm using butternut squash instead. It's easy to find, much easier to handle, and still has a very dense sweet character. First, start with the cabbage. Cut it lengthwise halfway through the stem and split it in half. Then cut its half again into quarters. Now cut crosswise into bite-sized pieces. Pro tip for zero-waste cooking. Thinly slice the core as well. It stays crunchy and ferments nicely too. Dissolve coarse salt in water and add the cabbage. And gently toss to coat everything evenly. I always say gently for this because unlike sauerkraut, you should not mash the cabbage. We want to keep that crisp texture. Place something heavy on top, flip the cabbage every 30 minutes, and brine until even the thick white stem can bend without breaking. That usually takes about 3 to 4 hours in winter and 1 to 1.5 hours when it's warmer. While the cabbage is brining, let's prepare the butternut squash. Peel the butternut squash thoroughly. If you leave the peel on too thin, it stays tough and chewy even after fermentation, so it should almost be as orange as the inner flesh. Next, cut the squash in half and use a spoon to scrape out the seeds and the stringy center. Then weigh the squash to get the exact amount and cut it into thin bite-sized pieces. The texture is better when it's pretty thin like this. And finally, slice the green onion diagonally. Now let's make the kimchi paste, what we call yangnyeom. Let's start by making a simple flour slurry. Mix flour with water and whisk until smooth. Then bring it to a boil while stirring continuously. Once it thickens, turn off the heat and let it cool completely to room temperature. This creates a smooth base that helps the seasoning stick evenly to every piece. It also helps with fermentation, where the starch becomes extra food for good bacteria. Once the slurry is cooled, stir in about half of the gochugaru. Now cut the onion and blend until smooth. Because it's small amount, I add 2 tablespoons of water to help the onion blend smoothly. Crush the garlic to release its flavors and slice the ginger. Add them to the blender and pulse just until minced. Another pro tip, don't puree your garlic and ginger too finely. If they're over blended, they can turn bitter during fermentation. So I'm checking the cabbage and the thick white stem bends without breaking, so it's ready. Rinse it 3 times under running water, changing the water each time. Brining helps draw out moisture from the cabbage and creates the right environment for fermentation. And rinsing removes the excess salt, so the seasoning stays balanced. Then drain it in a colander for about 10 minutes. Now we combine everything. Add the flour slurry mixture, the blended onion, garlic, and ginger, the rest of the gochugaru, fish sauce, 새우젓, Korean salted shrimp, and sliced green onion. If you make kimchi often, then I always recommend keeping a jar of 새우젓. It's milder than fish sauce, but has a lot of depth. But remember to keep this in the freezer to prevent spoilage. Mix everything until everything's well combined. Add the butternut squash and the drained cabbage. Now we gently mix everything together. Mixing gently is key. Avoid mashing so you preserve that crunch from the vegetables. Because butternut squash is quite dry, the mixture can feel a little tight at first, but that's completely normal. Once everything is evenly coated, pack the kimchi tightly into a container. I always recommend filling your kimchi jar with only up to 80% of its volume, because it'll expand as it ferments. My jar was already full, so I eventually had to move some to a smaller jar the next day. To finish, add 1/3 cup of water and a small pinch of salt. This way, we get all the seasoning left in the bowl, and more importantly, it makes the kimchi juicier. Kimchi develops its signature freshness and crisp flavor and texture when it's fermented at a lower temperature. So I'm only using room temperature just to kickstart the fermentation. So let it sit at room temperature for 1 to 2 days until you start to see gentle bubbles and smell a light tang. Then move it to the fridge where the rest of the fermentation will happen at lower temperatures. And that's how you get a kimchi that's lively, refreshing, and crisp. You can enjoy this kimchi at any stage. It's nice when lightly fermented, but what's really interesting about this kimchi is that it truly shines once it becomes more aged or a little sour. The flavors just burst in your mouth. Traditionally, this kimchi is cooked into a stew. That's when it turns into a comforting, hearty kimchi jjigae where all the flavors really come together. So I hope this recipe gives you another way to enjoy kimchi through the colder month. Try making it yourself and let me know how you liked it. Enjoy the process, enjoy your kimchi, and happy kimchi making!